wanted to bring to the attention of this audience a question that was written in about your book, Mars, Venus on a Date, which, by the way, John, I recommend to my coaching clients. And one of my coaching clients, we were having a conversation the other day, and she said, these 5 stages that John talks about, these stages of dating that John talks about in this book, she said, this has given me so much clarity. So here's a related question from Monica. She says, hi, John, thanks for taking our questions. In your book, Mars, Venus on a Date, you talk about the stages of dating, and I'm wondering if this is something to discuss with someone I am dating. If that's the first question, if a man consciously chooses to move through the stages with a woman, or if it is something that just naturally happens.
Everybody's a little bit different. It'd be like, some guys are like, hey, let's read this book together and check this out. And it's different temperaments like that structure. In most cases, it's just going to be, if a woman reads the book, she's aware of the pitfalls of every stage and how to make sure it's happening and to kind of know where she is as the relationship is unfolding. I think that the more heartfelt we are, the more mature we are, and you can move through those stages very, very quickly because you already have a sense of who you are. For me, I'll give an example. After 34 years of marriage with Bonnie, I know who I am, and I know all my buttons that can be pushed. I know how to let them all go. So for me to start a new relationship, I gave myself a year to grieve, and I said, okay, now I'll start a relationship, and boom, I found the person. And I don't have all those doubts and questions because I know who I am. I know what I want. I know just what I want. And I found it right away. I mean, it's just like my friends say, how are you doing? I say, I'm having a great life. And how do you find that? Yes, well, I'm a relationship expert. I should.
Yeah.
If you know who you are, and you see what happens when our buttons get pushed, we get upset, and then we become judgmental or critical or doubtful of others. When you know who you are, you find the right person right away because they will mirror who you are, and you love who you are, so you will love them. But that's, I've been doing this 50 years, almost 70 years old, and personal growth is my thing. So it's very easy for me now to do all this stuff only because I've been doing it for so long. So having said that, what is the question here? Remind me of the question.
The question is, are the stages of dating, is it something to discuss?
Oh, is it something natural? Okay. Yeah. Love at first sight, for example, you might be right when you have love at first sight, and that can happen. That's just feeling strong attraction, or it's a real soul knowing. It's not that common, but it can happen. My kids, Bonnie, I think in our last year, we were talking a lot about our relationship to the kids. And one of my daughters said to Bonnie, did you know that Dad was the one when you first, right away? And Bonnie said, the first time I saw him, I know he was the one.
Really?
And then they said to me, Dad, did you feel that? I said, she's the one I want to have sex with tonight.
That's an honest response.
Yes. Actually, I didn't say sex with the kids. I said, she's the person I want to spend the night with. So that's what I knew. But ironically, even though we had such a beautiful connection right away, we ended up breaking up. And it wasn't until I got married to somebody else, learned a lot of lessons, made a lot of mistakes, did some healing, and then came back knowing she was the one. So, and she was the one, she still is the one in my heart. So there's this thing we have to recognize that I can share from my own experience is you could be with your soulmate and not know you're with your soulmate because you're not ready for them. You haven't grown enough to recognize the one. You don't love yourself enough to actually stay with somebody who truly loves you, who's right for you. Because, not all of our thinking is correct, and we're down on ourselves, hard on ourselves, doubting ourselves. So back to the question, I'm just trying to answer questions today. So the question is, so do you go through those stages? Mainly you go through them being aware of where you are in the whole thing without trying to explain to where your partner is in the whole thing. But the third stage, first is attraction, then comes doubting, then comes commitment, then comes deeper intimacy. Your stuff comes up and you're able to overcome it. then comes proposal, and then you act as if you're married, but without all the pressures of being married. Then you get married. So that's them in short. And every stage has its own challenges. So the one I'll talk about right now that you do need to, clearly talk about. The others you just need to understand and act appropriately rather than make the common mistakes people make. But when it gets the commitment, that's where you need to discuss that I'm not willing to be physically intimate with you until we get to know each other enough to where I know that you're committed to me and you're not going to be having sex with other people if I'm having sex with you. Because you should, in my opinion, it's extremely confusing for a woman and not confusing for a man, but subconsciously confusing for him. He doesn't know when he's confused or not, but he'll just feel like, I don't know if I want to be with her, and then I don't know what went wrong, what I'm ready to move on. He's just sort of lost in the whole thing. Women will often feel confused. They feel like, I don't know. Is he right? Is he wrong? Does he love me? That's when you want to all talk about the relationship. But there's a place where he wants to have sex with you and you go, I want to have sex with you, but I know for me, I'm being the woman here. For me, it just doesn't work for me to have sex if the man I'm having sex with is having sex with anybody else. So I want to feel that as long as we're having sex together, that we have a commitment and a promise to each other that we're not going to have sex with other people. And in the beginning, I still need to go really slow with it. I don't want to have a whole lot of sex. I mean, I want to, but I know that I need to have it just occasionally, maybe like once a week, where it generally works for me. But I also need to feel that you're not having sex with anybody else in between, or that you're not having sex with yourself. That's really what works for me. I like to feel that the energy is building up. Now, that's pretty bold to say. He may not agree to that, but you really want a relationship. That's why I tell women, find a guy who wants you more than you want him, and he'll be willing to play by your rules. But if you're trying to please a guy, you're going to be afraid to even say something like that. And it really is kind of weird today to say something like that. I'll grant it, but I'm trying to popularize this research that shows that if men ejaculate more than once a week, they lose interest in the woman they're having sex with and are more interested in other women. And that's what causes us to become so confused is we start to compare. As soon as a man's testosterone levels go down, a woman's estrogen levels go down, that means she's in a little stress state. Whenever we're in stress, we always start comparing, and comparing is the thief of our happiness. There's always better on the other side of the fence, if you're feeling stressed. If you're not feeling stressed and you understand that the grass is greener on the other side of the fence is actually what you become when you're stressed, then you don't pay much attention to that and you focus on the good that you have. But that takes maturity. And that's why there's stages of this whole thing, because before you even get to that level, you have to have deep intimacy where you know yourself and you're able to share yourself with your partner. So that's where your stage 4 is, where your partner triggers you and you have all these judgments or disapproval or arguments that come up, and you're able to dissipate them very quickly by taking responsibility for going deeper and recognizing how you contribute to problems rather than them being the problem. You are responsible for how you feel. And that's the deep intimacy that you start to experience. You overcome that. Now you wake up one morning and you go, he's the one for me, because you've connected with your soul through the relationship. Then you can see if they're your soulmate or not.